I recently heard about a young man driving home late at night on a quiet country road. He knew the route well, every turn, sign, and curve. Confident and relaxed, he turned up the music and glanced down at his phone to check a message, thinking, "It's just a second." But that quick glance was enough to miss what was right in front of him, a deer standing still in the road. By the time he looked up, it was too late. He swerved, lost control, and crashed into a ditch. He wasn't seriously hurt, but the car was totaled, all because of a momentary distraction. Spiritually, we face the same danger. In Hebrews 12, verses 1 and 2, the Hebrew writer urges us to run with endurance the race set before us, fixing our eyes on Jesus. When our eyes wander, when we shift our focus to worldly concerns, we risk veering off the path. Like that driver, we may not intend to wreck our faith, but distractions have a way of doing real damage. Jesus spoke of this in his parable of the sower. One of the seeds fell among thorns, and Jesus said the cares of this world choke the word, making it unfruitful. Mark 4, verse 19. Distractions aren't always sinful, but they can still sap our strength, dull our zeal, and slowly lead us away from what matters most. Let's consider 3 common distractions that endanger our spiritual passions. First, materialism. There's nothing wrong with possessions. Being financially stable isn't sinful. But when our hearts begin to chase wealth and define success by our stuff, we've lost focus. Jesus says, "Beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the things he possesses." Luke 12, verse 15. He also warned that we cannot serve God and money. Matthew 6:24. A love for riches will compete for our hearts and crowd out our spiritual devotion. Secondly, busyness. Life can get hectic. Work, family, errands, hobbies, name it. Even church work can become more about activity than connection with God. Like Martha in Luke 10, we may be busy serving, but miss what Jesus calls the one thing necessary. Busyness, even with good things, can keep us from the best things: prayer, reflection, worship, and time with God. And then thirdly, the pursuit of pleasure. God wants us to enjoy the blessings of life, but when we overindulge in entertainment and comfort, we risk dulling our spiritual appetite. So how do we guard our zeal? We stay focused on Jesus. We prune distractions. We nourish our relationship with the Lord through daily time in the Word, in prayer, and in worship. Because spiritual passion doesn't survive on autopilot. It requires attention, focus, and a steady gaze on the one who calls us home. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great and wonderful day.